Hey up. Is that old Nigel Farage in my midst? Oh, get rid of him quick. He's drawing my arse up to me old boast. He's a sour old individual, that he is. Oh dear. Well, didn't Nigel Farage tell us all that the European Union would collapse once the UK had left the European Union? But it's still here. It's been 7 years and it's still here. Is there a chance that he made a mistake? Or was he just, lying? You tell me, leave it in the comments down below. But the fact of the matter is, the UK leaving the European Union, and not collapsing like Nigel Farage predicted. It's only a matter of time that Brexit will have the same effect on the EU that the Berlin Wall's collapse had on the USSR, says Nigel Farage. He also said that governments in Denmark and the Netherlands are already facing demands for an in-out referendum. That's what he said. Oh. But Nige, the EU's doing pretty well with us out and out of the way. The EU trade balance is back to a surplus of €1 billion. Doesn't sound like a collapse to me, considering what it was like, well, last year. As you can see here, between 2019 and 2023, we had a bit of a hiccup here, you see, during the pandemic, but also the war in Ukraine, and now we've been picking up and picking up and picking up and picking up. Oh, doesn't look like a collapse. Okay, it isn't at 2020 levels, no. But it's recovering. Unlike the UK, which is not. Unfortunately for the United Kingdom and its citizens. You've got a massive problem. You've got zero growth. You've got a gross domestic product that is similar to what it was back in 2019. But there's less profit in it. Because it's more costly to do trade. Everything for businesses has become more costly. It's not just that, is it? The Tory government has borrowed so much money. Is now, the national debt is now 101% of your gross domestic product. Your gross domestic product is basically all the money that comes into the exchequers. Yeah, to Jeremy Hunt. You know, your money. But no. It has less value because the debt is so flippin' high. If it was a limited company, it would be, bankrupt. Apart from the assets, I suppose, are still pretty considerable. But, anyway, throw them to one side. But it's not looking very good for the United Kingdom. But in the EU, it's looking quite, good. And why is that? It says here that it's down to energy. Yeah. That's what it says there. So in the second quarter of 2023, after 6 quarters of registering a deficit, the EU trade balance was back to surplus levels due to declining energy prices. And how did that happen? Well, we just had a great big turnaround we have. Europe's gas prices fell from €300 to €35 per megawatt hour. That's quite a considerable drop, wouldn't you say? It's still not at the, the prices we were paying, the Russians, about between 15 and €25 per megawatt hour. But still, it's come down considerably to what it was after Vladimir Putin decided to illegally invade Ukraine. So it says here that the numbers seem to be in the grip of irrepressible force. Now, August 2022 began with the Title Transfer Facility, the TTF, Europe's leading hub, trading in gas at 145 megawatts per hour back in 2022, which is an alarming level. But in that same year, in August, it jumped to €300 per megawatt hour. And now, closed trading at almost 35 megawatts per hour. It's an 88% decrease compared to the all-time peak achieved in August 2022. So, why is that? Well, it says here, yes, Nigel won't like this, he doesn't like wind turbines or anything like that, does he? No. It says that the European industry undertook to cut down their use of gas. We got a little bit frugal. in a desperate attempt to temper their skyrocketing bills. Also, there was huge grants for heat pumps, rooftop solar, thermal insulation, and turtlenecks. Yeah, people started to wrap up warm. Okay, instead of putting their old heating on a couple more degrees, they stuck another jumper on. Pretty much what people started to do. Yeah, it wasn't just because of, obviously, legislation or anything like that. It's just that people didn't want to pay the prices because, obviously, the energy prices went up a bit. Quite a bit, in some cases. But also this, you see. I don't remember when the EU was having these meetings with Biden and what have you regarding, well, made a deal regarding LNG. Liquefied natural gas was imported into the EU. So why don't we do that in the UK where we can't? We don't have the gas storage as we once did. No. What we've been doing is we've been relying on the EU, namely France and Belgium, as like a big battery. And what we did is we pumped gas over to the EU at a lower price, and then we bought it back at a higher price when we needed it. Okay, they want to make some money out of it, but, you know, obviously it just hypes up the price of the gas anyway, so you end up paying more. But that's what's happened, because I've seen it myself when I was working at Backton Gasworks. People were making huge amounts of money. All about the money, honey. So, underground gas storage is currently at over 92% of capacity in the EU. But the UK's got very little gas storage now. Got rid of most of it. Now, when I was speaking to them at the Backton Gasworks, this was back in 2008. I think that was right. 7 or 8. And they said to me, well, the UK's only got they only have 15 days back then of gas supply. So if anything bad happens, you've got 15 days. Got no gas storage, you see. In the UK, we've got enough. Whereas in the EU, they're now at 92% capacity. They've been investing in gas storage. So this is the difference, you see. You've got the EU that thinks ahead. And that includes, obviously, all the member states, and some of the member states don't on an individual basis. But they've knocked their heads together and, made some practical decisions. Don't get me wrong, the EU, there's some obviously bad stuff regarding the European Union. But the way I see it is you're better off in the club and being part of it all and making the decisions, especially if the decisions are going to affect you. That's like this argument about this flipping EU army, isn't it? You know, in the day, I'd rather be in the army than out of it. Because obviously, potentially, well, a target. Maybe. Well. Now, crikey. So, yes, the EU is doing pretty well. All considering. It's not as good as it was, but it's doing a darn sight better than the UK. Now, what did Nigel Farage also say? Yeah, you remember, that one there. Oh my god, yeah, get rid of it, quick, get rid of it. Oh, crikey, he's gone, thank God for that. Oh no, what did he also say? He's gone about the trade deficit. The trade deficit, and yeah. That the UK was importing more stuff than it was exporting. So I thought myself, well, it must be getting better then, mustn't it? Yeah. Now we're out of the wick of the EU, everything must be a lot better now. We must be exporting more and importing less. Maybe not. Oh, things get from bad to worse. All right, okay. This is exports, imports, and the balance. On this is the deficit. On the left-hand side here, this is the actual deficit. So that's the balance. So, as you can see, the UK in April this year was down by about how many? It's a million. 12,683 million down. Now, if you look here, if we go on to that's exports, you can see the blue is the exports from the UK. And the grey on the right there is, it's the imports. Alright, so that's, imports, exports, imports, exports. Can you see the problem here? We are importing far more than we're exporting. Oh, doesn't sound like a very profitable plan to me. Now, and Brexit has not helped, wouldn't you say? It's made things a darn sight worse than they needed to be. Now, we all would have been suffering war in Ukraine and obviously COVID and stuff like that if we were all in the club together. But at least we can support each other. Instead, the UK's deficit has increased. The UK's national debt has increased. It's now 101% of gross domestic product, which is basically all the money the UK earns. 101% is national, is the debt. This is not sustainable. And you've got zero growth. Okay, by saying 0.01, whatever it might be. But that's nothing. It's maddening. It's painful to see, actually, in many ways. But there you go. I suppose it's the bed that we've made, and now we've got to lay in it, unfortunately, in the UK. I don't know how long it's going to take to pull ourselves out of this, but it's not going to be in the next decade, I don't think. It's going to take a very long time. 2.7 odd trillion in gross domestic product, and over that in debt. We're basically bankrupt. Anyway, you tell me, do you think we're basically bankrupt? But please boot the old like button, because it helps the channel, you know. Oh, get it on. I don't know what to say, I really don't. It's just getting bad or worse, doesn't it? And it's driven by Brexit. That really is. There you go. Anyway, I'm going to say ta-ta, you know, and I'm going to cry my bear. Yeah, I think so. I think I deserve that. Ta-ta.